On Overdrive this week, facelifts and upgrades galore as the Verna, Jetta and Amaze go under the knife. Auto Selector with Bert and the important launches and unveils this week. Living life in Overdrive with a winter drive in Gulmarg. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I'm Shireen Bhan. Every product has a calculated life cycle, and even the most successful ones need to go under the knife once in a while to stay fresh and relevant in their categories. Today we put the spotlight on three such cars, the Amaze, the Jetta and the Verna, and find out just how fresh and new their upgrades are.
Now, for the past few years, under the Drive to Discover banner, Honda has been taking us journalists for road trips across various parts of the country. This year they decided to come to Gujarat. So we drove from Ahmedabad to here, the run of Kutch, and our companion for this journey was the Honda Amaze. Now this Amaze has a few changes compared to the car that you've been seeing in the showroom so far. Let me show you what these changes are. The Amaze you see here is draped in the updated VXO trim. It brings with it a revised black and beige color scheme for the interior and replaces the older black, beige and brown. You also get a new infotainment system like the one in the Mobilio, and it has a touchscreen interface. On the outside, the only way to tell this updated model from the older one is with the outside rearview mirrors, which now integrate sleeker turn blinkers. The drivability of this Amaze remains unchanged, but the diesel variant now has better sound insulation and benefits from the refinement updates that were given to the ID Tech engine of the Mobilio. It still isn't as silent as the City though. Now Honda has been consistently delivering very good figures for the City ever since they introduced the diesel engine on it. And Maruti Suzuki on the other hand has finally got that formula right for the mid-size sedan segment with the Ciaz. So it certainly is a matter of worry for Hyundai. And it shows because in the last 14 months they have not introduced one but two facelifts. This is the new one. Unlike last year's upgrade, which only added a string of LEDs to the fascia, the 2015 update brings a significantly new front end. The headlight assembly loses out on the daytime running lights, but the projectors are now standard on all the 1.6-litre trims. There is a new twin-slat grille too, which gives the Verna a lower slung stance than before, and the new fog lamps add to that effect. There's plenty of chrome on the face now, which looks good only against the darker colors, but appears more premium than bling. The taillights have a revised detailing that mimics the effect of LEDs. On the inside, the Verna remains largely unchanged. All the display units now have a black background with blue fonts, unlike the vice versa on the outgoing model. The audio unit is essentially the same but now has a 1 GB internal storage like the Grand i10 and the Elite i20. The Verna continues to use the same 4 engine options that you already had. So you have two 1.4s and two 1.6-litre engines. Now, like we proved in our endurance run, these are reliable engines. But for this facelift, Hyundai claims that they have made use of low-friction components, which has bumped up the thermal and the fuel efficiency. But we will have to put this car through a proper road test to really make sure that these claims are valid. But as of now, Hyundai claims that the fuel economy has been bumped up by about a kilometer to a kilometer and a half per litre. The suspension on the 2015 model has been reworked with larger springs and stiffer damping. The rebound isn't as unnerving as the 2011 model, but if you have driven last year's car, then this year's car is a small improvement over it. The wallowy feeling has been reduced considerably, and the thudding sounds on sharp bumps aren't as audible as before. Hyundai also tells us that they have made changes to the steering setup. Now this is the same EPS unit that you've been getting in the Verna since 2011, but the tuning is different. This is slightly heavier. So if you've liked the Verna for its light, convenient steering, you may not necessarily like this one. But has the weight made it more precise? Not really. It still lacks feedback, it still feels a little vague. But as compared to the Verna that you had in 2011, this is definitely a big improvement and a very small improvement over last year's model. The drip feed of update seen on the current model is reassuring that Hyundai is headed in the right direction. There's no doubt that the Verna is packed to the brim with features and has a very comfortable ride, but it still has a long way to go before it can start attracting enthusiasts who want sporty dynamics. But going by what they have managed with the Elite i20, We hope they are able to catch up with the likes of Ford and Volkswagen soon. And speaking of Volkswagen, out of all the executive sedans sold in India, the current generation Jetta has been my favorite. It's got nice dynamics, a wonderful diesel motor, and it looks quite attractive. More so now with this facelift. Now it may look familiar, but the changes are in the details. Volkswagen cars have subtle designs, and the facelift on this one is subtler. The headlights and the taillights have a sharper design. The grille now has 3 slats instead of 2, and they are set apart wider. The most noticeable change is the new front bumper, which has redesigned fog lamps and makes for a wider looking chin. The boot lid has a lip spoiler, and on the inside is the flat bottom steering wheel from the Polo. Not many changes on the inside though. What's notable is a new infotainment touchscreen system and a new instrumentation console which gets new fonts for all the clocks. So all these upgrades are purely cosmetic. Under the skin, the Jetta is still the same one from before. The one with the 1.4 TSI petrol and the 2-litre TDI diesel engine options. The petrol comes with a 6-speed manual, while the diesel can also be had with the DSG gearbox. And unlike the Octavia, this one continues with the paddle shifters. And speaking of the Octavia, this is what baffles me. The Octavia uses Volkswagen's new NQB platform, whereas the Jetta continues to use the old PQ35 underpinnings. Now it's a bit of a shame that Volkswagen is absent from its own party. But then the way the Jetta handles and rides is so much better than the Octavia. So for me, the Jetta is still the car I would want to buy in this segment.
Well, all 3 cars are extremely important for each individual manufacturer, and we hope these upgrades will add to their success. On that note, it is time for us to take a break here on Overdrive. But when we return, we answer your queries on Auto Selector. Stay on with us. You're watching Overdrive. Welcome back. You're watching Overdrive, and it is now time for us to take your queries on Auto Selector. Bert joins us as always. Hi Bert. Our first question comes into us from Gaurav Grover. He wants to buy himself a 150cc motorcycle. He's shortlisted the Honda Unicorn 160cc, the Yamaha FZS, the Suzuki Gixxer and the Bajaj Pulsar 150cc. His daily commute is between 50 and 60 kilometers. His priorities are good mileage, low maintenance and good looks. Off the shortlist, Bert, what would you suggest?
Suzuki Gixxer, probably one of the best motorcycles in the country again today for all purposes, whether it's urban or highway commuting for that matter. Good package, good fuel efficiency, good mileage, good comfort, looks good as well. Most of our comparison tests, that is the motorcycle that has come out on top. The closest, running close second is the Honda Unicorn 160. We recently tested that. Story is available on our website if you want to get the review and report on that motorcycle as well. But for all choices, the Suzuki Gixxer is the best one there is in that segment right now.
Well, Gaurav here is wishing you the very best of luck with your buy. On that note, it's time for our next question, and this one comes into us from Rajesh. He writes in from Hyderabad. He's waiting for the Honda CR-V diesel. He wants to know when it's likely to be launched and how much the approximate pricing will be. He also wants to know whether the CR-V is comparable to the Innova's reliability and durability. Well, what about price? I'm not sure if it's going to be comparable to the Innova in terms of pricing, but...
First, to answer the reliability question, there is practically no car in India today that can actually match Toyota's build quality and reliability, especially where the Innova is concerned. It's one of the sturdiest, best built vehicles we've ever seen in this country, and nothing comes close to that product. I mean, people have used that product for years and years without a single complaint, still looking and feeling as good as when it was new. So where the CR-V, however, is concerned, I'm not saying it's a badly built product. It is a fantastically built product. It will also serve you for several years. And yes, Honda do have plans to come out with the diesel version of it now that they have a diesel engine coming out already out in the Amaze in the city, and there are lots of plans for diesels to come out in the future from the other products as well. So the CR-V, of course, is the immediate one that will come out. We expect it to be out in India by the end of 2015 or late 2015 for that matter. Nonetheless, wait for some time. That car is on the charts, and it will be a good product. Reliability is good, build quality is good, and will serve you well for a long time to come.
Well, but thanks very much for joining us on Auto Select, and we do hope that you helped clear up all our viewers' doubts. On that note, it is time for us to wrap up Auto Selector. If you have questions, we have the answer. Send us your queries to helpdesk@overdrive.co.in. On that note, it is time for us to wrap up everything that's making news in the world of auto, new launches, unveils, and a sneak peek into what could be the future for sports cars.
When we road tested BMW i's flagship offering to the eco-friendly automotive space a year ago, one thing was clear. This was not going to be a pocket-friendly offering to the Indian market. And as expected, BMW have launched the i8 at a steep price of 2.29 crore rupees ex-showroom pan-India. The car, which is built on an eco-friendly platform, gets organic fibers and leather dyes. The i8 runs on a 1.5-litre petrol motor that churns out 231 PS of max power and runs on a 96 kilowatt electric motor that churns out 131 PS of max power. The electric motor derives power from a lithium-ion battery pack which can be charged from a power socket installed at home, and BMW says that this battery pack will last the life of the car.
We are very proud to launch today the BMW i8, an iconic super sports car for the 21st century. And we started the BMW i brand to look for new technology, for futuristic technology. And you need both in the future. You need on the one side the evolution of cars. So we have very high developed cars like the 3 Series, 5 Series, 7 Series and so on, and to develop them even on a higher standard. But sometimes you need also a revolution, an iconic change to show completely a new concept of the car. Of course, this has to be a typical BMW, but it shows also the radical change what is possible. And therefore, this BMW i brand stands, and also especially, of course, the BMW i8.
This hybrid electric supercar is capable of touching a top speed of 120 km per hour and hits 100 in 4.4 seconds. BMW maintains when driving around in the city, the i8 will return a fuel efficiency of 20 km to the litre. The i8 is now available at the BMW i dealerships in Mumbai, New Delhi and Chennai as a completely built-up unit.
So standing behind me is the third generation Superb, the all-new model. Now this one is based on Volkswagen's MQB platform, has a cleaner range of engines and now has 2 umbrellas. Well, there's a lot more to it than that. Let's take it out.
The Superb wears an all-new design and is essentially the production version of the Vision C concept that was revealed at last year's Geneva Motor Show. It is flooded with angular surfaces all around, the most notable being the crevices under the headlights, the lines on the bonnet, the Bohemian crystal-inspired detailing inside the headlight and taillight units, and the sharp shoulder line that extends into the nose as the shut line for the bonnet. The car sits on an 80 mm longer wheelbase than its predecessor, but shaves off a good 61 mm off the overhangs. The stance has a hint of Audi to it, but with a lot more artistic flair than muscle. While the exterior design is a big departure from the older design, the interior still looks like a minor evolution of its predecessor. The dashboard fascia and the center console look largely similar to the Octavia and now feature new infotainment systems based on the Volkswagen MIB interface. Overall, the cabin is now wider. Thanks to the MQB architecture, the new Superb is up to 75 kgs lighter. Out of the 3 petrol and 2 diesel engine options, the 1.8 TSI and the 2-litre TDI are certain for India.
So that is the all-new Superb for you. Quite a promising car, and it's coming to India by May 2016. And we hope to bring you a review soon.
You are likely to consume more fuel by being in a higher gear at low speed or in a low gear while driving at high speed. To avoid doing so, it's important to shift up as early as possible without straining the engine. For most cars, the ideal shift point would be anywhere between 1500 to 2000 RPM.
Time for us to take a break, but when we return, very lucky Overdrive viewers and readers get behind the wheels of Merc's SUVs in sub-zero temperatures in the beautiful valley of Kashmir. Stay tuned for more. Welcome back. You're watching Overdrive. If you're a regular watcher of the show or you've been reading our magazine, then you know that we've been on some amazing journeys to some amazing locations. And here's another one on our list. We're talking about the Overdrive Winter Drive in Gulmarg in Srinagar. And we've decided to take on some Overdrive enthusiasts along with us to share our wonderful experience. Take a look.
Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Live Life in Overdrive, and as you can see, this is our winter drive. Now behind me is a Mercedes-Benz SUV, well you can't see it right now, but we've got an entire day of driving activities lined up for 11 lucky participants who've come from all across the country. But first, as you can see, we're gonna have to dig our way through.
Thanks to the strong snowfall the previous night in Kashmir, the team spent the first half of the day getting the cars out of the snow. Setting up the snow chains, and of course the AMG with its low wheel well clearance couldn't be fitted with those, and swapping the stock oil with synthetic Mobil 1 to deal with the sub-zero temperatures. Meanwhile, the participants basked in the warmth and the luxury of Khyber Himalayan Resort, a tangible contrast to the harsh weather conditions on the outside. Once the cars were ready, the participants got their first chance of driving on low-friction surfaces as they made their way to the golf course in Gulmarg.
The location is fantastic. We're up here in Gulmarg, and for me to think that our country has such a picturesque place, I was honestly floored.
We had a lovely drive this morning around the mountains, a lot of anxious moments, a lot of heart thumping, and we really enjoyed this drive.
The ML rode very nicely. It was very comfortable driving this ML in these conditions. Surrounded by ice all over the place, and the braking was fantastic.
I haven't driven on ice or slippery road here before coming to this event. So it's a very nice experience, and I really enjoyed these nice SUVs and nice background.
As they got to the golf course, a treat awaited them. We had set up a track in the snow for them to experience some sideways action. The expanse of the golf course meant that they didn't have to worry about 1,000-foot cliffs or damaging the cars for that matter if they lost control.
The Mercedes, we were driving the GLA 45 through the circuit section, which was actually, I was very surprised for it being on sport tires, the amount it did.
I think I made a lot of change through this winter drive, even though it's been a couple of laps that I've done through the circuit with the GLA 45 and got stuck a couple of times, and a lot of them had to muscle it out.
The best part was the first time in my life I did the slide on a vehicle, and for the best part was it was an AMG GLA.
To help them master the dark art of drifting, we roped in the master himself, five-time Indian National Rally champion Hari Singh. Under Hari's tutelage, the participants learned the principles of throttle control, opposite lock, and weight shifting.
Honestly, more than anything else, it was the patience and the expert advice that I got from Hari Singh. As always, I've worked with him before as well, and he's a fantastic guy. And everybody here from Overdrive, they're lovely people. They're just so full of knowledge, so full of enthusiasm. Even no matter how damp it is or how cold it is, everybody's out there having fun, pushing you on and egging you on to do more.
I was under an impression that I knew all the things about cars. I could do the event very comfortably, but after meeting Hari Singh and sitting beside him while the course was on, I seemed to understand that I did not know anything, for which I have learned today through him by him sitting next to me, teaching me how to use the steering, how to use the brakes, how to use the throttle, and various things like that.
The vehicle was drifting. I was not aware if it is drifting on right, we have to steer in right. So all these minor things I learn over here.
The participants also learned the benefits of electronic driver's aids such as traction control and anti-lock braking system with the help of driving exercises. So, what was taken away from this special driving school in the middle of winter in Kashmir?
I love fast cars. I've done several drives out of the country, but this drive was in a way different because we had cars that we see on Indian roads and instructors who knew exactly what would be our defect.
This is an extremely different experience that I've had here. Different thrill driving in the snow, different thrill driving on the slippery side of the roads. But it was an excellent experience, and I think I should do this every year. So this is a promise. I'm coming back with the Mercedes-Benz every year driving this.
Well, there is a reason why it's called Paradise on Earth. But if you want to be a part of life in Overdrive, then do remember to sign up for our next amazing journey. To catch our episodes on our YouTube channel, stay in touch with our team on Facebook and Twitter. Till next week, from the entire team at Overdrive, thanks very much for watching.